Hello, delicious friends. My name is Thionel. I make content about cozy games and story driven games and LARP, and typically, I focus on the cozier games because I like living out the fantasy of property ownership. But we're not going to focus on that today. Instead, we are going to focus on something I feel like I don't tend to talk enough about. My love of gothic horror and gothic romance. There's something about a relationship or people being in peril due to supernatural forces beyond their control in a bleak landscape that really speaks to me. Especially when those works drive us to consider what actually makes us human, or what our place is in the world, or how we can keep our humanity in those dire circumstances. So, what if I were to tell you there's a visual novel out there that does that now? Does it well. Would you believe me? Folks, I have to tell you, it exists now and I'm so freaking excited about it. So please allow me to introduce you to the newest offering from Fail Better Games, Mask of the Rose. Now, before we get too much further into this, the footage of the game that you'll be seeing throughout this video is all pre-release footage. What you're seeing in this footage might be slightly different than the release version of the game. The good folks at Fail Better Games did send me a copy of the game for free to review for you all, but I'm not being paid for my opinion, or for this video, or anything like that. In fact, I actually put myself on their press list. I am pretty sure they have no idea who the heck I am. But I really wanted to get my hands on this game to share with all of you, and thankfully, Fail Better Games was kind enough to oblige. So, what is Mask of the Rose? Well, it is the latest installment in Fail Better Games' Fallen London universe. If you're unfamiliar with it, the story goes that in 1862, London was stolen away by bats into caverns below the surface of the earth. Now existing in a place called the Neath, London retains some semblance of the world that came before, but it's not the same as it was. Streets have been renamed or moved around entirely. The Queen remains, but no one has seen her since the fall, leaving London in the hands of cloaked entities known as the Masters. The seas beyond and the caverns above are haunting, terrifying. Honestly, with an aesthetic like that, it really didn't take me that long to fall in love with Fallen London. Although my attention was stolen away by other things, unfortunately not bats, I remember really enjoying their first venture into the Fallen London universe with the browser game that, back in 2009, was called Echo Bazaar. Now it's simply just Fallen London. I also really enjoyed Sunless Sea and Sunless Skies, both of which are more roguelike games set in the same world, but unlike those games, which take place, I think, 40 some odd years after the bats took London below, the events of Mask of the Rose occur shortly after London was brought into the Neath. This was something I thought was really interesting to see. In any other game you play in this universe, Londoners have had time to settle into their new normal. I don't know that I ever really thought about what it might have been like for the people who got dragged below, or what the destruction of London must have been like when I started playing Fallen London all those years ago. But with Mask of the Rose, you get to see what that night was like from your own character's perspective, and it is brilliant. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit though. In this installment, much like many before it, you create your citizen of London. This time, a lodger of a boarding house along with fellow lodgers Grizz and Archie. Realizing you need money to pay your landlady the back rent you owe despite London being stolen underground by bats, Grizz has very helpfully arranged employment for you as a census taker in the hands of one of the city's new masters, Mr. Pages. As in previous installments, you can choose a cameo meant to depict your character, and instead of pronouns, you can choose from any number of titles, both gendered and not, that the characters you encounter will address you by. These range anywhere from things like citizen or captain to lord or lady. Unlike previous installments in the Fallen London universe, though, you connect more with the people around you. The typical gothic horror elements you might expect from the Fallen London series are still there, of course, but the focus is more on the personal relationships you strike up. This causes the game to present itself as something not unlike a dating sim. Unlike other dating sims, though, you can choose whether or not that's something you actually want to engage in. While you're creating your character, you're presented with options that allow you to choose whether your character is looking for friendship, a romantic relationship, or something even more than that. If you think you want one thing at the start of play but decide you'd rather back off of your chosen path with somebody, that's okay too. As you talk to other characters and you build up relationships with them, you have the option to dial things back as you talk to them. So you can choose to look at someone as more of a friend as opposed to a romantic interest. As someone who falls under the asexual umbrella, I personally really loved that. You rarely see games like this where asexual people or aromantic people are taken into consideration, and Fail Better Games did. You have the option to take romance completely out of the equation, and I do not have the words to describe just how much that means to me. It's one of those things that made me feel seen in the moment, and I just loved that. I love that so much. Thank you, Fail Better Games, seriously. That said, though, the relationships can also cause a bit of trouble in the course of play. See, Archie gets accused of murder. Death might not work the same way in the Neath as it does on the surface, but, murder is still a crime, so it's up to you and your friends to try to help Archie and figure out who actually did the deed. The game actually helps with this because it does have a story system built into it. Based on the information you gather as you talk to other characters, you can create theories about who actually committed the crime, or even use the system to try to matchmake if you really wanted to. On one playthrough, I might have started trying to arrange a romance between Grizz and another society lady. I honestly don't know how well that succeeded, but on subsequent visits to that society lady's house, I found out that Grizz was a frequent visitor, and it made me smile. Unfortunately, though, this is also where things started falling apart a bit for me during my initial playthrough. I foolishly believed I could carry on with all of my previous tasks in addition to trying to solve a murder. I couldn't actually do that. It honestly doesn't help that the world of Mask of the Rose is populated with a variety of interesting NPCs to talk to or interesting places to visit that you kind of want to explore everywhere and talk to everyone. It's very easy to get overwhelmed by the choice of what to do, especially when the game only allows you to do so much every day. You might assume that's to Mask of the Rose's detriment, but it's actually not. The game is designed to be replayed. This allows you to go down whatever avenues you might want every time you play and learn more information about the world, or who might have actually killed the person Archie is accused of murdering. Not only that, but on your first playthrough of the game, certain background options are completely locked to you until you've completed the game the first time. And each background you can choose from impacts things you can do or say, or the order certain connections are presented to you in. I personally really loved that, although, I will admit I got distracted by side quests. So many side quests. I really need to stop agreeing to do things for people. I think if I had one complaint about Mask of the Rose, it's honestly that I wish we had more time to interact with everybody. I'll admit that picking and choosing what I do isn't my strong point in games like these, but I really just wanted more time to explore. I do understand the time constraint is for plot reasons, though, so I guess I just need to be a bit pickier. Overall, though, I genuinely enjoyed the time I spent playing Mask of the Rose. I've played it a few times now, and I know I haven't done everything yet. Although the information I have acquired through those various playthroughs has led me to have thoughts about who actually killed the victim. Problem is getting the plot threads I need for my theory so I can present them at court. I would happily recommend this game to anyone who enjoys murder mysteries, gothic horror, gothic romance, visual novels. Honestly, this game's strength is that it can appeal to a lot of people. So, if you have a few hours and you want to play an excellently crafted game, you can pick it up right now on Steam and Nintendo Switch. I'll leave links for you all in the description. They are planning on releasing it on other platforms in the future, though, so keep an eye out if those aren't your preferred platforms. Thank you again to Fail Better Games for sending me a key for Mask of the Rose. You were far too good to me. Thank you to my Fanhouse fam and Ko-fi supporters. You all allow me to be able to make videos like this that people can consume for free, so I am super appreciative of all of you. And thank you to you! Yes, you, the person who is still watching this video all the way to the end. Every view, every comment, every like, anytime this video gets shared, it's all because of people like you. All of you help me appease the vicious algorithm when you do that, and I want you all to know that's appreciated. And if you wanted to subscribe to see more content like this, or to see me go on about other kinds of games, that would be pretty neat. I mean, do what you want though, I'm not gonna tell you what to do. If you'd rather see more story-oriented content though, I'm pretty active on TikTok and Twitch, and I tend to ramble a lot about my various characters for things over on Twitter, so if you wanted to follow me on social media there too, that would be pretty cool. But for now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go make some tea because I am absolutely going to play Mask of the Rose again. Having tea while playing this feels very appropriate. Bye everyone!